All right, I think we are good. Yep, shows us counting down.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
showing up.
good deal. I am Bryant with Nomadic Dyno, and this is Justin Richardson with Proto-Tech LLC. We are doing our second tuner tech talk, if we want to call it that, and just have some more things to go over today. Kind of winging it. Still have a couple touch points first. You got anything, Justin?
Yeah, as Brian said, I'm Justin Richardson with Proto-Tech. We do a lot of ACES remote tuning. If you need anything, reach out. We come recommend it through ACES. We've done several, and if you got an issue, we can probably help you work through it. So
Yep. And on one of those issues, we're going to briefly touch on power and ground and the PDM. So first, if you have an older harness that has all the relays and stuff on it, I know this has been beat to the ground on a lot of videos. Even Tech Tuesday this week covered it. Your main power and ground on your harness need to go directly to the battery. Don't do anything else. They go directly to the battery. Now, if you're using the PDM, like I have here, all of the ones highlighted in the shade of pink are the required ones. So you have on the top and the bottom of this picture, these two wires go direct to battery, run like, what do you say, like an 8 gauge, probably.
yeah, preferably
Yeah,
the terminal connections are kind of small on it. So I mean, you may be stuck with
yeah,
the 10, but if you can get an
yeah,
8, that's better.
yep. For your battery positive and battery negative, those go directly to battery. Don't interrupt them. Um, and then your main power from your harness, you've got your main relay wire, little small gauge black wire. Might just say MRD on it, depending on your harness. The light gauge ignition switch wire. The main ground goes on the other side from the harness, and then your ignition key on the bottom here. That is what is required to run the ECU. That's it. You don't need any of these others for that to happen. If you are controlling your fuel pump with PDM, that is in green. So you'll have the fuel pump. It's different color on different harnesses, but it's just a small ground or relay wire. And then if you have like a 255 liter per hour pump, you're probably all right to use this, depending on length of wire and everything. Run as big a gauge as you can for the run, but this is for your fuel pump. If you're running a heavier pump, just use this to control a relay, or even just
Yeah,
bypass it altogether. Same with the
that
fans. It's kind of borderline for the fans, the current this can handle. So just keep that in mind. What were you going
yeah,
to say,
that's the
Justin?
thing is like the fans. I've run into several issues with those, and just remember that they're ground triggered fans. So if you try to put 12 volts to them, then you wonder why they don't work. It's a ground triggered relay.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, this is the minimum. I know on here, I'll bring this up. So let me remove this. And this is on the ACES website, the manual. You see, they have everything hooked up to it. You don't need to do that. Start with as simple as you can to get it to turn on and everything, and then add what you need. But
Right.
again, this is on the ACES website under the support and downloads and manuals. And then if you scroll way down, it's on there. And actually, I guess I can just pop that up quick. And I'll share this. Okay. So once this comes through, if I hit the button. All right. So on this page, I am just in support, downloads, user manuals and diagrams, and yeah, all your manuals are on here. So if you can't find your instructions, just go to this website, acesefi.com, and find the manual for your system. And then down here, it has the PDM for all of them. It's really basically the exact same schematic
Right.
for any of them. Your fuel systems, all kinds of manuals on here. So if you can't find the manual, just check out the website. Same thing with, if you go back to support and downloads, there's a fair amount of tech documents on here as well. Get a lot of questions on the software right here, definitions guide. This one is pretty good at describing what everything means in the software. At some point, I'm sure this will become a little outdated, but it's still a good resource. Then
Right. And if you're looking for a particular thing, you can hit the search bar or Control F and then just type it in, and that page automatically populates, so you don't have to thumb through some pages.
Like one I get a lot is, what is MBT? Of course, it doesn't want to come up when I when I search for it, but that's in here. The different timing tables and things, get asked a lot about that. But yeah, it's all that good stuff's in here. So I know these kits don't come with directions, but the website's a good resource.
Yeah, they're easily updated PDFs. So instead of having a huge paper trail, I get why they do it. So just go to acesefi.com and you can find everything that's relevant.
Absolutely. And they don't have very many tech videos on here yet. I thought they actually used to have more, but they must be reshooting.
I think a lot of them are YouTube shorts. I believe that's what you have to go to their YouTube channel and find it.
Right. They have some on here on there. It's linked to their YouTube page, but there's some good ones on here as well. And all the 100 and whatever Tech Tuesdays. These ones, a lot of them have good information, but it's hard to find it just because it's just answering questions each week. So they're not really like, you don't know which one they talked about, ignition or whatever else. So that was something that I've been running into a lot lately, is things not being wired right. And why we drive home, the power and ground to the battery has so many reasons, but the main one is if you are cutting the power to that main wire. Let me just pop this back up if I can. Of course, it didn't do it right. But anyways, that PDM picture that I was showing earlier, if you have the main power interrupted, when you kill that, your ECU won't save any of the changes you made. Oh, there we go. If you interrupt this and you shut it off, it won't save anything you did. You go to key on and you'd be like, oh man, none of the settings changed. Well, that's because the ECU couldn't power down. It's like taking an old PC computer and just unplugging the thing instead of shutting it down while you have a Word document open. It didn't save it.
Right. And I run into that a lot, especially early on. People would have battery disconnects on their vehicle, and they would shut it off at the disconnect, and you go and you load the tune. They're like, well, it's a stock Wizard tune. That's why this thing isn't running. And it's very important, not only for the filtering capabilities that the battery provides for transient voltages, but also saving your calibrations. And that's something that's easily looked over. Well, it works on this one, or my wiring worked on this vehicle, and now why am I having issues on this one? It's you're interrupting the power source, and you just got to make sure that stays stable and clean voltage, and nothing else on those two wires.
Yep. And if you need to run a battery disconnect for safety, because you got a rear mount battery and stuff, there's ways to do it. There's ways you can use a relay to do it, or you can have, dedicated switch for it. That way it's still clean to the battery. It's mainly for when you're tuning and need to save things, it has to shut down properly. Once everything's good and you need to kill it for safety, yeah, just shut off the switch. It's fine. Just know that whatever happened while it was running that time didn't get saved. So go to here. You got anything else right now, Justin? You want to bring up?
Yeah, I've been getting several questions regarding transmission tuning. The biggest thing on that is, if your vehicle is shifting erratic, make sure that you have the VSS calculated correction factor. It's set really high on ACES. It's usually like 36%, I believe, is the default. That thing tends to land for me majority of the time around 25 to 26%. If you do that, and the way that you verify that is I just download a GPS speed app on my phone. So as I'm driving, I check it versus the VSS correction percent, and I adjust accordingly from there. You want that to be within 1 or 2 miles per hour. If not, then your shift schedules are going to be all out of whack, and nothing's going to function correctly. So you'll have early shifts, hard shifts, and I have a transmission tuning video on YouTube also that goes over that. So if you're having transmission issues with shifting, just check that first. Make sure that the gear ratios inputted correctly, the tire height size, and all that's really important to make sure that vehicle shifts correctly. And the other thing with that is the calibration. A lot of people do the firmware update, and it doesn't matter if you have drive-by cable, you're still going to do drive-by-wire pro firmware, and then you're just going to set drive-by-wire to none or no. I think that's the verbiage on it. And then that'll allow you to have your transmission features.
Yep, right under here, and then you change it to no for transmission control right here. Yep. Or yes, there, and drive-by-wire to no. Sorry, phone's ringing again. All right, and then the thing he was talking about, the transmission, I have it pulled up here. Like this guy's not using transmission control on this particular thing. So like this is the default settings, 21.8-inch tires. It's your overall tire diameter too. I'll have people tell me their wheel size over the phone, and it's not that. It's your overall tire diameter. And if you're not able to measure it,
in HP Tuner's VCM editor, you can download that for free, or Google your tire size, and it'll give you the overall tire diameter.
Yep. And then here, your rear gear ratio needs to be correct as well. If you don't know, well, take your best educated guess. The VSS calculation correction, this is the one you want to adjust. And it comes at like 39.1. And like he was saying, it's usually in that 25, 26 range, seen anywhere from 22 to 28, but those are outliers with either monster tires or
it's usually some off-road or something.
So this is the most important point of getting your shift points correct, and then everything else is scheduled in the tables, the 1D tables, your upshifts and downshifts. So this is throttle position versus your VSS mile per hour. So that's why it's so important.
If that thing's 15 miles an hour off, then you're going to be shifting way early, or you could be way late in the shifts, and the thing's revving with light throttle angles. It's still going to 5,000 RPMs or something crazy. So you want to make sure that's adjusted accordingly.
Regarding, I've got a question on here regarding the ACES trans control. Seems like factory default line pressure 1D tables are set pretty high. Is that something you've seen as well? I have confirmed this with a pressure gauge on a 60 and 80. Have you done much testing with that, Justin?
Yeah, I've seen it, but usually when I'm adjusting the line pressures, I'm not having to usually go between 2 to 4 PSI differences. So I'm not having to do much to the default settings there. Within, we said 2 to 4% or so, that I may, if I'm having a abrupt 1-2 shift, or somebody will put a Corvette servo in a 4L60, and the dash is trying to jar out of the car, or something crazy, then I'll adjust the line pressures a little to help with that 1-2 shifts, or I'll go and I'll increase the timing retard to help with those. But back to the line pressures, they're usually pretty close to everything that I've done with ACES. I hadn't had a whole lot of issues with them. I hadn't had to go in and say, do anything, drastic to the line pressures itself.
I've had to lower it on, I think, just a couple so far. Another thing that'll sometimes it affects it, these minimum upshift RPMs. I found, and maybe this is just in the older versions, I haven't played with it in a long time now, but I found that lowering the upshift minimum RPM made that 1-2 shift softer, even though it was still shifting at the same part of the table on the 1D table. So if you have this minimum upshift set at 1500 RPM or something, it's probably going to shift pretty hard from first to second. So first, very simplest is just try lowering these minimum upshift RPMs and see if that helps. If it doesn't help, then try something else. But
that's the other thing that I've seen is going through, some of these global files, and people would, have transmission control, and then I would see timing retard disabled for transmission shifting. So, every time that, that transmission was shifting, it was, going straight through it, and, it was pretty erratic, and it would jar you inside the car. So it wasn't pulling any timing in between any of the shift points.
So this is that setting he's talking about, gear shift retard enable. And this, if you have transmission control selected, it'll enable it automatically. This guy doesn't have transmission control, but then also you have your, I didn't realize there was downshift retard too. I thought it was just upshift. This must be newer. Or I just don't mess with it enough. But yeah, here's the different retard values that you can adjust for that if you need it to soften up some more. Or if you just want to feel like a race car, just leave it disabled, I guess.
You'll definitely notice the difference. It kind of acts like torque management in, like a factory ECM. As those shifts are coming in, it reduces the timing and allows for a smoother transition. So,
another thing really, really common with the first gen jackpots is putting the wrong firmware in when someone goes to update it. So I'll show on the software, and Justin already mentioned this, but I'll show you an example here. So a lot of people have drive-by cable, which I recommend.
Likewise.
And they'll go to put in just the drive-by cable firmware because that makes sense, to be honest. And then they lose transmission control. You have to pick this Pro drive-by-wire one. The main key point is that Pro. The Pro is capable of transmission control and drive-by-wire. The drive-by cable can only do drive-by cable and no control. So just make sure you put that correct one in. The Jackpot 2 only has one, doesn't it? Let me look at that again.
I'd have to go back and look.
It has, so this is for, I wish they would put LS on here, because when you have more than one, it'd be nice to denote that. But yeah, so this is going to be for the LS. This is for the TBI on the LS. I don't think they have a TBI for the Hemi. And then that's for the Hemi, of course. But Yeah, I don't see any other jackpot 2 in here. So should be able to get away with just putting the jackpot 2 firmware in there and retain drive-by-wire and transmission control just fine. So
Yeah, I'm seeing Jackpot 2 EFI, Jackpot 2 Hemi, Jackpot 2 TBI. That's all I'm seeing for Jackpot 2 stuff.
Yep. All right. Next thing, kind of wanted to cover that I don't have any real demonstration for. Find my mouse here. Timing and rotor phasing. So I already made a video on verifying TDC. I need to make another one of stabbing in the distributor correctly because there's some confusion on the whole 15 degrees before top dead center thing for some folks, and how you set that up properly. The reason you're setting things at 15 degrees for top dead center is to synchronize it. Your EFI can't magically tell where your ignition timing is. So you have to tell it. So you have to mechanically put it at your balancer at 15 degrees for top dead center. And then you will also stab in your distributor and line up your magnetic pickup directly in front of the sensor, and tighten it down. Then wherever your rotor is pointing, that's going to be your number 1 on your distributor cap. And then in the software here, actually I can only show this. I'll get a kill shot pulled up real quick. Kill shot 2. So on here you have your static timing. And this, if there's a calibration file in it, will show 15 degrees. This is when you go into configuration here and lock your timing, it is just digitally locking it to that static timing, 15 degrees. So now your balancer is at 15 degrees before top center, and your computer also thinks it's at 15 degrees before top dead center. That's all you're doing with that, is you're just synchronizing it so the computer knows. After you do this and you have your distributor tightened down, everything, it's all ready to fire up. You do want to verify it with the timing light, because when you stab and everything, you might be a few degrees off. It's just how it goes. Verify with the timing light and then unlock it in the software when you're done. Then all of your timing tables, in theory, should be accurate.
Right.
Now, I have had some people have issues where the timing will creep with RPM. So let's say you have it locked out at 15, and as you get to 3000 RPM, now it's up to like 22 degrees or something. They don't currently have a setting to alleviate that. Supposedly it's going to be in the next software patch. We'll see when that comes. This timing offset here, that's just a flat value. It is not like a gain or anything. It's just, if you set it to -10, it's pulling -10 no matter what RPM you're at. It doesn't have a ramp. You got any other timing setup?
Yeah, I'm trying to, let me pull this up real quick. I run into that once before. The coil dwell time, if you usually that's set to simple. If you change that to a 1D table, you can go and adjust that dwell time to compensate for that ignition drift. I've had to do that a few times before to actually to get the timing to stay in line.
Gotcha.
Once you load in a wizard file, you'll see. But if you bump that dwell time up, it usually helps with some of that. this ignition drift that I found in my testing. But I've only run that into that a handful of times. So,
Yeah, let me
but
see if I can
usually
get.
I think that comes in as simple, if I remember right, and then you
Yeah,
change that to 1D table and then adjust that dwell time until we can get that revision or not or feature request in the new software. You might be able to play with that to see if that'll help you out any.
sure. Yeah, here's that 1D table. This is just one of my files from the CUDA. This is how they come stock, just like this. But yeah, this one's probably still left on simple. Yep.
Yeah, so if you change that to 1D table, you notice how with ignition RPM it starts to taper down, which theoretically it should. Um, if you bump that up just a few, it'll kind of hold that charge in a little bit longer and stabilize that RPM drift. Just the ones that I've seen. That's kind of how I've got by with that issue until we can get that feature
Okay.
completed.
Yeah, I'll have to try that out. But yeah, they are supposed to be putting in that gain feature soon, hopefully. Um, John asked if Tim has gone from Aces. Yes, he is. It's been like a month or so now, maybe more.
Yeah, probably a month and a half now, I believe.
Yeah, time's flying.
Yeah.
Just doing his own thing now. That's all. I actually got some stuff from him not too long ago. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to cover on here. Yeah, I will be making another video of setting up the distributor on my Ford small block just because it's there and handy.
Right.
Trying to think what else. Any other weird issues you've come across lately? Where the list starts.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Oh, I was having some issues with a TPS sensor. I was going through troubleshooting a TPS sensor. I was going through and looking at the the tune file. I didn't see nothing at first glance. Usually you thumb through those ADC values pretty quickly, and if nothing looks too erratic, you just go on and fumble through the tune. And so I replaced the TPS sensor. Same thing. It was going from 0 to 4%, right? And I was like, that's a brand new TPS sensor. This thing should go. It would calibrate. It'd go back to 0. And as I was going through, I was like, man, something's not right. So I started comparing, a Wizard tune to, this jackpot tune, and somebody completely hacked the ADC values in this thing. Like, so no matter what sensor you had in it, or even the TPS reset wouldn't even fix it. So if you have any of those weird issues, with the TPS sensor, just rerun the Wizard. Save your current tune and look at the Wizard file, rerun it, and see if anything's erratic. It was strange. I mean, I spent like an hour and a half on this trying to troubleshoot something so stupid. It's like
Yeah.
you waste so much time, going down a rabbit hole, and it's like, and 2.5 years or however long it's been with Aces, it's like the first time that I've ever seen anybody do this. It was weird feature.
Yeah. And let me see if I can just pull that up. I think I remember where. No, it's not even here. Let's go to a jackpot.
Yeah.
So this is your gain for the electronic throttle body. It kind of works sometimes. Sensors that has.
Yeah. Pull it up.
What's that?
So I'm gonna be line chasing.
You're pulling it up. Okay. All right. There.
That was sensors. Where is it at?
I thought it was under sensors too. It's been a while since I messed with
Yeah,
the
it
AC
took me forever
values.
to find it.
Yeah, I could have
Oh,
sworn
right
it
there.
was.
Here it is. IC TPS. Let me see if I can find the. Um, maybe.
I'm trying to share it.
Trying to see if I have a. Oh, right there it is. That was the value. That was inputted. 14,848. Yeah, I was like, and you don't think to go, looking through all this information, and I seen that value there, and I was like, what the crap is going on? And let me see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 18,000 to 826. So that's where it landed. So yeah, that was one of the rabbit holes I went through. So that was highly frustrating. You said it was an hour fix for one value. So plus swapping out TPS sensors.
Yeah, troubleshooting things that never needed troubleshooting. It happens a lot. But you kind of have to roll things out too. So just it's part of the process. Trying to see if I can find. I'm going to try to pull something up here if I can find the correct one. Talking with ignition and rotor phasing, you can usually tell when there's an ignition problem on a data log because it'll look really bad. It'll be very like your AFR will have really sharp spikes to it, and your RPM might as well, just depending on how bad it is. I'm just trying to see if I can find a data log that actually has that on it.
Yeah, and it'll coincide with the ignition also overlaid. You'll see a lot of erratic spikes in it also. You'll see a smooth linear transition going up the MBT table, and then all of a sudden it'll be super jagged. Is usually how I.
Yeah, I have an example that I was doing on a customer's vehicle this week, but I don't have it on my computer to show. So this is what it is. I'll just try to get a data log pulled up here of just any old data log to at least use for a visual aid here. I think one of these, I actually have something else I can go over too with battery voltage. Yeah, this one has some good stuff on it. And talking about rotor phasing too, I know Aces doesn't sell one, but MSD has an adjustable phasing rotor. Sometimes you just have to use that to get your phase correct as well. On my car, I have to. So it's not like it's an unheard thing. So let me get this one shared. Share screen. I must have to do the window for this one to work. Or entire screen.
I think it's entire screen the way that the data log viewer.
Yeah. I'll do looks like. Yeah, the data log viewer is a little iffy. Does that show up on yours? I can't see it on mine because I had to cover it.
Yeah, I can see it. It's kind of hard
Okay.
to.
All right, to crank up the line thickness here so we can see things better. So this one right off the bat, it drops down to 8.5 volts during cranking. The fact that it started is kind of impressive. That can cause a lot of erratic behavior. O2 sensors might not read right, might not start, period.
The IEC goes crazy. I bring
Yeah.
in a lot, but why is my idle hanging? And you go and you look at the starting voltage, and it'll be around, 8 volts. And I'm like, charge your battery and then try again. And usually that issue goes
Yeah.
away.
So I don't know how well you can see it on here on the shared screen, but I wonder actually if we just do this just to make it a tiny bit bigger for right now. These sharp points on the AFR, this purple line, this is what I'm talking about with if you have an ignition misfire, it looks a lot like that. It'll be very sharp, erratic hits. Here to play with the throttle. Like this one's got all kinds of things going on with it. Also, if I go way back into here, you see these huge spikes, like 13,000 RPM. That is interference. It's usually the input wires for your RPM being too close to a coil or spark plug wire. That's the most common cause. Also, just a straight up bad coil will do it. Like if you're running a standard like point system and you just have it connected to the negative on the coil, which is the scenario with this one, and the coil's bad, it'll cause these erratic spikes too. And whenever that happens, the engine thinks it's going buck wild, so then it'll overfuel, do all kinds of weird things. Yeah, this data log has all kinds of nasty stuff on it.
It's got a lot going on.
Yeah. So obviously this one has some driving issues because it has just a ton of weird things. But yeah, like here, well, he's playing with the TPS a bunch on here too, but super erratic. Going lean on D-cell, this is normal. I know that's probably one of the most common things you see on Facebook is it goes lean when I let off. Yeah, it's going to. You still got a bunch of air pumping through it and you let off the throttle, so it doesn't need to inject as much fuel. It's going to be lean. Not a big deal. You can fatten up the bottom rows of your VE table if you want to reduce that, but if it's not stalling out or causing issues, then there's no issue. If you look at a factory vehicle, it does the same thing, and even more so because they just shut off the injectors on D-cell. It's not like a carbureted application that is going to keep drawing the fuel because there's RPM.
Right. There's no sense in dumping raw fuel, on D-cell just to keep those in check. You're just wasting fuel. If you don't have any drivability issues, just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
A lot of factory vehicles are, they bump the timing up and cut the fuel out. So just to prevent the stalling.
You got any other things recently?
That's as far as, out of the ordinary, the TPS thing's the only thing that I've had. Everything else has just been, pretty straightforward, remote tunes and starting to do a little more in-house stuff as the weather's getting better. So
Nice. Yeah, I actually
most everything.
I've got one to put on the dyno here as soon as we're done with this. So yeah, weather's getting real nice. A lot of spring fever.
Right.
That being said, too, for those looking for tunes, just keep that in mind that so is everybody else right now. So a little
Yeah,
patience
a
in
little bit
that
of grace.
regard.
There's only so many hours in the day
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
tunes, and and with that, it's as far as a lot of people ask is like, well, do I need to be connected live? Me personally, I like to be connected live the first time. I like to get a good BE table established, and then everything after that, you just drive and data log and send me a read file of the tune and a data log. And if you do that, then I can usually have a significant turnaround time doing that versus trying to connect back via AnyDesk or
yeah.
try to get a phone call or scheduling. That works best on my end. I don't know about you, Bryant, but
Yeah, that's the same way. For the initial, it's really nice to do live because you can make a ton of quick adjustments right away, or see things that need addressed like immediately. Like
right,
if you can tell their timing's 15 degrees retarded um, right off the bat, or you know,
yeah, their map sensor is pegged at idle. It's
yeah,
reading 100 kPa at idle. Then we got a configuration issue, and that'll
yeah,
save you a set of plugs, an oil change, and potentially ruining your engine. If we can at least connect first via live, and
hmm
then work
it's
back and forth. You know?
It's oh man, I throw a ballpark percentage out there because I've never calculated it and don't care to, but I would say like 70% or more. There is something mechanical or electrical that needs addressed in a remote tune.
Mhm.
No matter how well someone gets their ducks in a row, which we appreciate all the effort of trying to have it ready, something always comes up, or almost always comes up, that people didn't prepare for. Or like I've had no two sensor fail while I'm tuning.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like uh, it's super common to have an issue come up. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Just try to address it. Try to be prepared to address anything. Have hand tools and stuff ready. If you have something that turns over hard, have battery charger ready. Things like that. Again, if it's turning over hard and drawing the voltage way down, then you need to check over your starter system or your cranking entire starting system, whether it's the start relay, all the wires, the battery connections, the starter itself. Have ran into a lot of auto parts starters that just they draw a shit ton. Um,
Right.
to a year ago, I was working on a Maverick that it took 3 starters to finally get one that didn't pull it down to
So it
eight
actually
volts
works.
during cranking. Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's another thing too. Like if you are watching, and it's easier to see on the strip chart in the software, the handheld or your some of the things you might not see it how far it can dip down. It might not refresh enough, but if it's dipping down, 9, 8 volts, that absolutely has to be addressed before you do anything else, because it's just going to give you a headache from there on.
Yeah, we can't turn mechanical with you. So um,
His stream is breaking up. I don't know if we lost him or not. He said we can't tune mechanical issues out with the laptop. I think his might have died. Well, on that regard, I think that's probably about as much to go over for this. I'm gonna just check these comments. I haven't looked at them for a bit. Oh, are you back? He's typing me now.
I don't think that's some connections.
Yeah.
You back?
Yep. I can hear you again.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah. Okay, so they sent you a new ECU, Davis. So that's good. Yeah, hopefully get that lined out. That one has some weird injector issues. Um, yeah, I guess I don't know that I have much more to go over today. I think we can wrap this one up. Or you got any closing statements?
Yeah, if you guys need remote tunes, just reach out to myself. As Bryant was talking earlier with issues that may pop up in remote tuning, I have a guideline remote tuning checklist on my website, prototechllc.com. You just go to remote tuning and you can kind of see what we expect, or what I expect. I'm sure Bryant's similar.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. We just might not have the exact same things
The
listed on our
verbiage could
websites. But
overlap. So, if
yep.
you can go there and, just get an idea of what our expectations are, just to make sure. And with that, we aren't ASUS, tier 1 tech support. So, if you have issues, at least try to get the thing running and driving. It saves you time and money, and saves some frustration there too. So, make sure that you got your project as buttoned up as possible. And then when you reach out to us, we can get you on the road. That's our goal. Our mission is to get you enjoying your project to the best of our abilities. We want to optimize your engine and your success with ASUS, or any other hardware, EFI hardware out there. So just make sure you do your due diligence. Getting a complete project, and we'll do the same. Making sure that we can get you on the road and enjoying your project.
Absolutely. And another thing too, the more race car you make your car, the more race car it's going to drive. Getting something with a mother thumper cam to idle 800 and take throttle off idle isn't always realistic. That goes for any massive overlap cam that's supposed to run from like 3,500 on up. Your throttle response right off of idle isn't going to be great no matter what system you have on it. You got to get the RPM up a little bit before you whack it. So last question here. Is it okay for the VE table to be in the high 80 to 90s on stock 4.8 at idle? Depends on your camshaft and timing, but also for the LSs, it's usually not in that range. That'd be more, I would check map sensor stuff, vacuum leaks, misfires.
Yeah. And if all of that is good, then what injectors are you running? It could be crap injector data or, fuel pressure related. So I would expect, anywhere from 40 to 55 numbers for a stock 4.8 at idle.
Yeah. If you throw a chonky cam in it, then it's going to be a higher value. But yeah, for stock, it should be much lower. Misfires are probably the most common thing I see that makes that go up so high. You got a few cylinders not really pulling their weight. It drops the vacuum significantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we should be able to get yours much better than that, as long as everything is tight on it.
Is that, they said 36 pounds, 58 psi. What's your regulator setup? You got like a Corvette style regulator, or I mean, it could be a fuel pressure.
Yeah. It's one I've been working with on him for quite a while now. Let me see if I got any notes on it.
Yeah, usually high VE numbers, Aeromotive.
Yeah, that should be fine. If I remember right, his wasn't taking, like we'd adjust the VE and it just didn't do anything. It was goofy. Got some weird issues with that one.
You know what the map is? Key on, engine off.
I think we had that right. His ECU is getting changed out by ASUS right now.
No, I got you.
They just sent him a new one, so hopefully it fixes whatever gremlins we're having.
Table
Um,
value. Do you guys start at 100%? I personally do. Unless it's a running tune that just needs to be cleaned up. Somebody's reaching out for a revision. The car is fairly optimized, running good. It just needs a few little tweaks. I'll go ahead and leave that value whatever it's set. Typically, it's at 90. I think by default on the stock. But if I'm starting from scratch, I'll either use 90 or 100. A lot of times I'll just do 100 just to keep all everything consistent.
Yeah, it's easier to reference VE values if you always do it the same too. So I try to do them all at 100 as well. Usually on the initial start, I'll probably leave it at 90 because they're a little fat to begin with, and then I creep it up to 100 as I blend the VE table downward because they're all pretty fat at idle. I don't really recommend using the offset to get your idle dialed in because you're bringing the whole table down when you use that offset, and the wide open throttle ranges are not as far off as the idle ranges in most cases. So if you bring down 40% to bring it down to idle, or your idle right in the line, then you're going to be lean at wide open, especially on a jackpot.
Right. And you'll see a lot of tip-in issues also if you do that offset. Usually people will go through there. You'll see videos. They'll adjust that. Like, oh, it's super fat, and then they'll adjust that offset. But you got to keep in mind it's a global change. And it's like looking at the mild and race cam. They put super fat VE values there, but they put 55% offset on it. So it's just counterintuitive to me. It's like usually if I'm doing one from new, it's 100%, and then I put realistic VE maps. I've done so many of them now. I kind of got an idea where I expect things to be.
Yeah. You can blend one together real quick that'll at least start and run decent, and then dial it in from there. It's really counterintuitive how they have the mild and race set up.
Me personally, I wish they would just have one VE table, one typing table, and then have supporting modifier tables myself. But we work with the software we're given. So
we shape ourselves to it while we try to give input on changes for it. Another thing too with Justin talking about modifiers and things, everything is a modifier for VE table. So if your VE table is not dialed in yet, you're going to be kind of chasing your tail with adjusting your tip-in settings and startup settings, really anything else. Because then, let's say you get all those things correct, and then you go and adjust your VE table, or you've been driving it for a year on the learn, and it's finally got it, reasonably close. Then all of your other modifiers are going to be off from what they were beforehand. Sounds like Justin's got some noisy vehicles there. He's at the airport right now. Yeah.
I'm at the airport. So.
Yeah. He's in his truck doing this. I'm in my comfy office. VE table's most important, and then just modifiers from there. But I got to start getting the dyno ready. Justin's got things to do, so I'm going to wrap this up.
Another meeting to get to, and we said we appreciate your time and tuning in. And like I said, if you guys have questions or need remote tuning, reach out to Nomadic Dyno or Proto-Tech, which is myself, and we'll get you dialed in.
All righty. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you later.